Ben 10 throughout the 2000s was the show every kid watched. We all had the toys, we all had the clothes, and we all had the games. But strangely, Ben 10, even though it had the most successful toy line of the 2000s, it only had 2 construction lines, and both of them failed. But how? Let's begin. In 2010, LEGO had the rights for a Ben 10 line, and no, sadly they weren't minifigure scale. Why? I personally believe LEGO didn't want to invest the amount of money a Ben 10 line would have required. Like, I'm telling you, every alien at least would have needed 1 to 2 new molds. Considering there's 10 plus aliens and different villains, even if you split it up to 7 new aliens per wave, LEGO still would have had to make over 8 to 10 molds per year. Back then, an injection mold on average cost around $40,000, so Ben 10's budget would have been around $1 million just for molds in 2008. Nowadays, I don't think it would be that hard considering how many molds LEGO makes for one-off lines like Trolls, Angry Birds, and even CMFs. And even back then, in 2010, they did go all out for Toy Story. So it means LEGO could have obviously made Ben 10 minifigures. But they didn't because they didn't trust the brand. So we got this instead. The total theme consisted of 6 figures, those being Swampfire, Humongosaur, Chromastone, Jet Ray, Big Chill, and Spider Monkey. And the theme's premise wasn't awful, it was about collecting all the aliens and combining them to make hybrid aliens. Sounds familiar? Yes. Moving on, the concept actually wasn't a terrible idea, but it also wasn't a completely original idea. Bandai already had something like that. The real issue was the variety. All the aliens used the same body, the same legs, the same arms. They really only had unique heads and maybe like different hands. And the appeal of hybrid aliens is not about giving Chromastone 4 arms and a tail. It's about combining their shapes and unique physiological traits to create something new, something the LEGO line didn't do. These hybrid aliens just look really ugly. But the one thing the Ben 10 line did do well is they made good action figures. Because Bandai didn't make highly articulated Ben 10 figures, so this was the closest thing you could get. And I had these growing up, and as toys these were fun to play around with. But understanding that their main feature wasn't that appealing, it's obvious nobody apart from me bought them, and this line was a flop that only lasted a wave. But this isn't the end. In 2012, with the launch of Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, a new challenger was approaching. A wild character building appears. For those of you that don't know, character building is a sub-brand from a UK-based toy company called Toys from Characters, and they acquired the Ben 10 construction license right after LEGO dropped it, where they attempted to make something LEGO wouldn't dare do. Minifigures. Yep, character building produced an entire construction line around Ben 10 that consisted of blind bag series, vehicles, and locations. And I gotta say, the figures look cool. It actually frustrates me looking at the figures because you can just imagine how the aliens would have translated into LEGO form. And character building had so much faith in Ben 10, they even made chase variants, like Albedo and Ultimate Alien. But their builds, on the other hand, were awful. Kevin Scar looks so bad it feels like a 6-year-old made this. And the playset is even worse. For starters, what location even is this based off? It looks dull and uninteresting. And yes, it really had cool figures, but the figures couldn't carry the line. Obviously nobody bought these and they also flopped. Nowadays you can still find them on eBay and I might get one eventually for my collection, but back then no kid was trying to get their hands on these either. So as the story goes with these videos, LEGO failed to recognize the market and put out underwhelming product that did not sell well. And a smaller company that did understand the market made somewhat promising product, but because they're not LEGO, they failed. We gotta remember, that name, LEGO, means something. And while character building is a respectable company, for most kids, it's just a LEGO clone, and they want the real thing. So this wasn't it. I remember seeing these when I was a kid and being mad they weren't LEGO. Because to a kid that only bought LEGO back then, these felt like a copy, and I'm guessing most people felt the same way. Funny enough, I was curious if the Ben 10 reboot from a couple of years ago had a construction toy line from any brand, and I found a LEGO knockoff brand that made a Ben 10 watch, and another company that made this, but I wouldn't really consider these toy lines. To finish off the video, I still believe in Ben 10's potential in brick form, and my dream is that one of these days, LEGO will approve an idea set, either it be based on the Rust Bucket from the classic show or something based on Alien Force. And at the very least, that way we can get a Ben 10 minifigure and maybe a couple of aliens. But hey, that's just my brick opinion. Thanks for watching and take care.